right out of the earth.
As crazy as it sounds, we can't. Let's just put it this way: we can't discount the possibility. The possibility exists, and it exists within a framework of the physics that we understand today.
Well, I mean, clearly we don't understand energy the way they did.
No, we don't. And I think we've talked about this before. We've taken one out of who knows how many paths to develop our technology. Right. Our technology is based on electricity and explosions.
Right. Combustion.
That's what it's based on. Yeah. It's electricity or some kind of combustion. That's how we make our things work. We harness electricity or we blow things up. And electricity probably is probably a lot more useful than we think. I think Tesla was developing some technologies that would look fantastical to us today if he would have been allowed to finish his work and didn't lose funding and wasn't suppressed. So even electricity, I think we barely understand electricity. I personally think we understand what it is, we understand how to produce it, and we understand how to harness it. But I think that there's a lot more that can be done with electricity that isn't being done for whatever reason. But propulsion by way of combustion is like a caveman, rolling around with carts with stone wheels, pulling carts with stone wheels. That's what we use. We use that kind of technology. We got to blow things up. And this is what we use in a conventional.
It's fun though.
This is our conventional technology, but this isn't the technology that the military is using behind the scenes. That elements of the dumb state are using behind the scenes.
Well, that's what a lot of guys like Heiser say. That they take position that this is just the government are flying these things too.
Well, guys like people like that just have not taken the time to examine the data. And when I say the data, I'm primarily talking about the abduction phenomenon, because within the abduction phenomenon, you have a proof, I would say indisputable proof, that this is an extraterrestrial phenomenon and that these are non-human entities who are physically, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, are physically abducting people. It's not a primarily spiritual or supernatural or multidimensional phenomenon. It is a physical phenomenon. And is the government abducting people? The military? Probably. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that they're doing this, and they may have a whole lot of reasons why they would be doing it to some extent. But there is no way that even all the militaries on Earth combined could be abducting the millions and millions of people who are being abducted routinely, and doing all the other things that happen during an abduction. There's just no way. It's completely implausible, and frankly, I think that explanation, frankly, is stupid.
Well, it's just I mean, obviously, not everyone can be an expert on all these topics, and then you pick your road and you go down it. But I mean, the sheer numbers of things would explain that it couldn't be the government. There's just not enough manpower.
It's a unwillingness to embrace the physical reality of the alien presence.
Well, we talked to Tim Mackey recently, and we talked about heavens and earth and just these realms.
The over-classification of reality.
It constantly comes up on our show of trying to figure out how heaven and earth meet. So the stargates, the portals, the megaliths, the energy. It's just right in our wheelhouse of how do these blurry creatures come to and fro?
Hey.
Can Bigfoot go through portals? Does the Vatican know all of it?
Stargates really?
Reality is just a construct. Reality is subjective to the individual. That's why some people can see a UFO in the sky, and others will see like an apparition of Jesus or Mother Mary. Our reality is subjective. It can be altered. Our perception of what we think is real can be altered. And we have something what I like to call base reality. Basically, the Matrix. And every person is a Neo, essentially. Thing is, we are severely limited in our growth and our evolution as people. We have abilities that are locked away in our genes and what they call junk DNA and all this stuff, yada yada yada. Point is that our, what we call reality, can be altered just by our perception, just by being able to perceive reality in a different way. I believe you can alter it physically. I know I sound like a loony nut, but I think if you were to actually dig deep and talk to these really smart people that go to all these universities in theoretical physics, there is basis to a lot of the stuff that I'm saying. So, and I've never been to college. I mean, I've been to college for business and accounting, but that's not related. This, I don't know what I'm saying. I'll probably cut this out, but anyways, let's get this video over with. I gotta go to bed.
I mean, wouldn't you guys agree that Stargates answer a lot of the questions? Yeah. They really do.
I think about David Paulides too. Like, I think about like all these people that, and I don't know how much.
David Paulides is a man. That guy doesn't get enough credit.
That we would give to the abduction, program, or how much we'd have to portals. But there's these just, he takes this fraction of this data of these cases where there's just an unexplained disappearance, where people seem to walk into nowhere and never return.
The abduction, you mean as it pertains to the abduction phenomenon?
That or portals and portals,
the missing people.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
the missing people.
He does the missing 411 stuff, and you're like, some of this stuff is so bizarre. It's like someone walked into a portal or walked into a, whatever you want to call it, and then didn't come back. Like,
are there naturally? Here's another question that might relate to that.
Like tornadoes?
Are there naturally occurring stargates?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's some in Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I think that the answer would be yes. I think that there are naturally occurring stargates, and maybe
I think people just sail through them.
And where do you go when you go through that gate?
Narnia.
Well, I mean, that there's one way to look at the Narnia. I grew up obsessed with Narnia. I think I told you guys. On many occasions when I was a little kid, I would close my eyes and walk into the closet, desperately hoping that I would escape the boring suburban life I knew, and be confronted suddenly with a faun or something like that, or find myself in this fantasy world that was just a bajillion times better than middle school.
Right.
It's interesting though, the concept of the wardrobe. You can either think of that. There's two ways that you can think of the wardrobe, and most people look at it as if it's like a dimensional gateway and you're in a different dimension. Well, you can also think of it as a Stargate. If it were, and I'm not saying, obviously that's a fantasy story. It's a fictional story, The Chronicles of Narnia. But,
sure.
But if you think of the wardrobe as a Stargate, then you don't necessarily have to be in a different dimension. You're just in a different part of the universe. As I stressed earlier, a Stargate connects. A Stargate is not a connection. Now let me use the scientific term. A wormhole is not a connection between the Earth and a different dimension. A wormhole is a connection between two disparate places in the universe. So it connects two different locations within the physical universe. As I said, they could be on two different sides of the universe, and they're connected through a wormhole. So I think a lot of us have a tendency to think about a Stargate or a wormhole as a gateway into a different dimension, which isn't necessary. And the reason why it's not necessary, as I say all the time, is because none of us have ever seen another dimension. We don't know what another dimension looks like. And if you're looking at, as my friend who saw that Stargate open, that wormhole open and saw those craft come through, and he's looking at a different world, there's no reason whatsoever to suppose that that's a different dimension. None. In fact, it's counterintuitive. We should suppose that that's just a different part of the universe. Again, whether it's somewhere else on the earth, whether it's like, it was the Himalayas or something, or whether it's the surface of Mars or the moon or somewhere else. There's no reason to make the leap. I am a proponent of different dimensions, but I think that they're different facets of the universe. They're dimensional facets of the universe. They're not like different worlds. It's not a completely different world. It's not like a spiritual world or something that you go to if it is indeed a different dimension. It's just a different dimensional facet of the same universe in which we all inhabit. That's the Occam's razor explanation of a wormhole. That's the Occam's razor explanation. The simplest explanation isn't that, the UFOs are appearing from a different dimension. They're appearing from a different locality in the universe.
So the Beastie Boys had it right the entire time. It says intergalactic, planetary, another dimension. It was all they nailed it. The great philosophers of our generation.
just remember that we can't even contemplate what another dimension would look like. When you start using a word like dimension, you're now talking about, number one, a world that our brains can't contemplate, because you're talking about a world that's not within the 3 dimensions plus time that we inhabit. You're talking about an incomprehensible domain. And I can't comprehend that. I can't envision that. Neither can you. We can't imagine that. And we think we're imagining that when we think about Narnia going through the wardrobe. We think we're imagining that, but we're not. All we're imagining is a Stargate that takes us to a different part of the universe. That's all that we're really imagining, because that's all we're capable of imagining. We can't think beyond the 3 dimensions, the 3 spatial dimensions and the 1 dimension of time. We just can't. Our brains can't do that. It's impossible.
Tim is here breaking our brains again.
I love it, Tim.
No, I like how I like just thinking. I think pondering these things is in practice is such a cool process, right? To try to understand the things that are hard, tough to understand in the context of the things that we know within the laws of nature, within the laws of the universe that govern the things that we do. Every little thing that happens in this space is ordered.
And for some reason, there's a resistance. There's a resistance, and not just in the Christian community, but also like in the UFO community too. There's a growing resistance to a materialistic explanation. So it's got to be some kind of spiritual thing or a dimensional thing, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Let's say that we are all sitting on my porch smoking pipes, looking out over the horizon.
Sounds great, by the way.
With tobacco in the
right,
pipes.
Of course, yeah.
Because otherwise there could be other explanations for what I'm about to say. And you see, like, we see what my friend saw. We see like this circle open up in the sky, and around it, if you look to the left or to the right of it, you see, the mountains in the background. I live in Montana. You see the mountains in the background. But if you look into the circle, into that hole that just opened up in the sky, we see like a different landscape. Let's say we see like a more reddish, ruddy, desert-like landscape. And then like saucers come out of it. What would be the first thing that came to our minds? We would think naturally. The very first thing I think we would all think is, that's
alien invasion.
Some other place, either on Earth or somewhere else. That's a different place. I don't think we would go, oh my God, that's a different dimension. We would just say, that looks like a different place.
That wasn't what that's not the question he was asking. Whoops.
Just like I'm looking at you guys, a different place in terms of a different place in the known universe. Just like I'm looking at you guys through Zoom right now. I see you guys, but I don't make the assumption that you might be sitting in a different dimension. I assume that you guys are sitting at some other place on planet Earth. Yeah. So we're in the same physical universe, but you're just in a different part of it than me. Yeah. And if we had the technology for you to come flying through my screen, that wouldn't convince me that it was a different dimension. It would just tell me
just
that
sit on the porch
you're
then.
coming from.
And have a smoke, and then we would just that prophecy would be fulfilled. We'd come right on through, Nathan.
Well, I love it.
But you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Why do we leap over the most sensible and easiest explanation? How come we got to leap over that? How come we got to why do we discount that?
Well, so Jesus' baptism, he's just looking, the heavens are open. It's like a giant stargate almost, and we're just looking right into heaven.
What if he's looking at the kingdom of heaven?
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, why can't the kingdom of heaven be located somewhere in the universe?
Why not?
Why not?
Why can't the kingdom, and of course the kingdom is more than just a locality, but it does have locality. It's somewhere. It's a place. It's more than a place. It's more than a place, certainly. There's a theological profundity there. It's more than a place, but it's also a place. So why does it have to be like some spiritual realm? Why can't it be somewhere in the universe?
Well, certainly they're flying something from somewhere with brake lights.
If God has so little use for the universe that he made, I don't think so. I think he made the universe, and everything that's happening is happening inside the universe he made. And so, again, I don't discount different dimensions, but I think people confuse an imperceivable spatial dimension of the universe that we inhabit. They confuse that principle with a multiverse perspective. Like there's a whole different universe. You see what I mean?
Parallels.
So the multiverse,
stuff,
there's a completely different universe that's parallel to ours, that's running on different laws of physics, and everything's different, and it's like parallel to ours. That's a paranormal explanation. And that's an explanation that actually a lot of physicists like, because even like Michio Kaku loves that explanation. Like there's a bunch of bubbly universes like bubbles in a bathtub. And the reason why those guys love those explanations is because it allows them to circumvent a creator. It allows them to circumvent the problems with our universe in their minds, that it looks like it was created.
Right.
So our universe looks like it was fine-tuned and created, and they know that. And so they can circumvent that problem by imagining all kinds of different universes, so that the fine-tuning of our universe, it just looks like it's fine-tuned because it's our universe. But there's other universes that are parallel to our universe that aren't fine-tuned like our universe. They have different laws of physics. It's just, as I said, it's a circumvention of the biblical fact that our universe was created.
That's why I love you bringing on you, Tim, because you bring on all the weird stuff the church doesn't want to talk about, but you bring in the gospel that the UFO community doesn't want to talk about. It's this great hybrid. And look at there.
Hey-o.
Hybrid of both of these camps that the discussion needs to happen. And you're putting this all into practical terms. Like Jesus is sitting there looking right through a stargate to heaven, and
why not?
And why not? Yeah. It's something we can understand. And obviously the craft that they're flying around, it looks like something that we might build in 500 years.
Exactly. And we will build in 500 years if we're around that long.
Right.
Tim, thanks so much, man, for coming on, breaking our brains again, and we're excited for you to...
The dumb state. I honestly, Tim, I want to do an episode on... We haven't talked about the dumbs at all.
Well, you got to call it the dumb state. So every time you say that, you owe me $1, and every time.
Well, now we gotta do a dumb episode now, and then we'll with you, and we'll talk about the dumbs, and then it'll just be like Inception level dumb, right? Because two dummies asking dumb questions about the dumbs,
Inception. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it'd be Inception. Different levels
right.
of dumb.
Exactly.
And just to reiterate, I want to encourage everybody to go to the Birthright Conference. Come see us. Come see me.
Yeah.
And Luke and Nate in Nashville, Tennessee, from the 6th to the 7th of May, not March. Go get your.
Well, that was episode 90 of Blurry Creatures with guest Tim Alberino. It's a podcast I've been watching the last month or so now. I like it. They talk about a lot of subjects that I find fascinating. And this was my first video of me doing a watch along and commenting on certain aspects of the conversation. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. My name's Jeremy. Call me Ruckus. The Fanatic. It's my game. My gamer shit. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. My light narration on said video. But yeah, hopefully more to come. And if you like this kind of stuff, let me know. Like, comment, share. Let me know what you guys think. Stuff that you guys are interested in. Otherwise, but anyways, I'll keep posting. This is like regular stuff I watch on a daily basis, so I'm just gonna start doing this while I do it. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and hope you guys have a good night or good morning. For me, it's 5:30 in the morning, so I'm going to bed and going to a doctor's appointment at like 4 or 5 hours from now. So.